She was once the most celebrated figure of her day. Now in her 60s, Isla Buchan is virtually forgotten. An alcoholic recluse, Isla hasn't written a word in years. But when Isla is admitted to hospital, she is told she is suffering from acute liver cirrhosis and has only months to live. After 50 years, she returns to her stately childhood home on the small Scottish Isle of Murray. There, she is forced to surrender herself into the care of her cold and status-obsessed sister Audrey. Years of bad blood between the sisters rise to the surface as old wounds are reopened which threaten to accelerate Isla's deterioration. An outcast in her own home, she confides in Audrey's timid teenage maid, Coira. But their unlikely friendship is condemned by both Audrey and the islanders. In her darkest hour, and at her most desperate moment, a secret world reveals itself to Isla. She is drawn to a dark cavern where three beautiful Naiads offer the dying writer one last masterpiece, which will be her legacy and ensure her immortality. But at what price?
I'm Tom and I'm the director of the film The Naiads. This is our little production office here in Merchant City in Glasgow, and this is where most of the people actually work. We have a few people working in France and in Germany at the moment, but the majority of people work here in our little office. Today I would like to talk a little bit about the origins of the project of The Naiads. I remember that we had a meeting in 2010 with one of the actors I worked with on the film Charing Cross, and we were talking about future projects, and he had quite a few very interesting ideas, because he told me the story of an old friend of his who was an alcoholic writer, and he had a session with a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist told him you should never ever write again, because if you write again you will basically die. Writing destroys you. And that concept absolutely fascinated me, and this is very true to the nature of my film, and the idea of Isla being an alcoholic writer and who's being told that she must not write again, there will not be a future for her as a writer, is just absolutely fascinating. And the whole story is so important to me on a personal level, because it describes our innermost feelings and fears, because it is a story about human desire. And I think everybody in this world has a very strong desire and an urge and a big dream. Everybody, every single person wants to fulfill a dream in their lives. But ultimately this dream leads to our destruction, and it leads to the destruction of others as well, to the whole world around us. I mean, how far are we willing to go with this? What price do we have to pay to make our dreams come true? So, hi everybody, I'm sitting here at the moment with Craig Gill, who's one of the writers of The Naiads, and Craig and me, we've been working together for 18 months now, and it was mainly him and me who came up with the story of Isla Buchan and The Naiads, and we wrote the screenplay together. And we're just sitting here today, and we're location scouting, and so do you not think it's amazing that being here and seeing the house and kind of really feeling the atmosphere at the moment?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely beautiful. It's very, what's the word, bucolic, I think is the word. It's so peaceful, such a peaceful place to come and just collect your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because in the story Isla returns to her family home, and it is an absolutely peaceful place. It's a place that she rejects at first, but then ultimately this is where she finds peace and quiet that she really needs so much. What do you think is what makes the mood of the film? What do you think is so important?
I think probably just the mood of nature, basically, the dark mood, light mood. everything along these, even just the sounds, just listening to the place and watching the trees wave gently, it creates a mood and a tone that I think just is perfect.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that's so important to have this in the film. Getting people back into nature, making them really hear everything that's going on around them. We decided to have Isla return to this remote Scottish island where people don't really use mobile phones. Of course they do, but in the story we don't really have mobile phones, we don't have computers, because we wanted everybody to kind of get away from this, get away from the modern world and just return to nature. Really make people appreciate nature, their surrounding, and actually listen to everything, and I think that's very important to create.
I think that's also these sort of surroundings just give an enormous amount of options for cinematography and sound design and things like that. It can create an immensely disparate palette for any filmmaker.
Why do you think that it's so important that the story is set and being filmed in Scotland?
Well, I think that the sort of basis of it is Celtic mythology, and you know, it's Scotland and Ireland and Wales, well, the heart of Celtic mythology. It's going all the way back to the Druidic times, and so I think that there's just a character in the Scottish landscape that comes out just visually. I don't think you need a lot of sort of camera extravagance when you've got this kind of surroundings. You know, it speaks for itself. And yeah, it's a nice contrast between the emotional violence and the peaceful nature.
Yeah.